retract and propellant load and launch pending resolution of the winds upload issue. For all operators in MCC and Hangar X, both controls are going to lockdown at T-minus 45 minutes and will remain in that state until the LES system is disarmed. All operators are to remain at their console and maintain a sterile cockpit until the ND confirms successful disarming of the launch escape system following orbit insertion or propellant offload in the event of a scrub. For non-urgent no-go conditions, brief the CE or LD and they will approve aborting the countdown. For urgent issues affecting the safety of the operation, operators shall call hold on the countdown net. Launch control will abort the launch auto sequence immediately and proceed into the launch abort auto sequence. At T-minus 10 seconds, launch control will be hands-off and relying on automated abort criteria for the remainder of the count. Operators shall advise the launch director whether structural breakup or fire is imminent or occurring per Dragon manual escape flight rules. Launch control, you may proceed with arming the crew arm for movement.
Okay, we're at T-minus 43 minutes, 15 seconds and counting. You've heard the SpaceX launch director giving final instructions to the team. We have cleared our propellant loading pole.
Crew access arm retraction has started.
And now we've heard, and you can see on the screen, crew access arm is pulling away from the Dragon spacecraft. This is going to take about a minute, minute and a half to retract all the way. Then we'll get confirmation it is in the launch position. The next step after that is going to be the crew, close the visors, confirm that, and then begin launch escape arming. As we mentioned, we want to get launch escape arming finished by about T-minus 37 minutes, which means we've got about 5 minutes to finish troubleshooting the wind upload to the Dragon vehicle. Now, currently on Falcon 9, all conditions are go on the launch vehicle. That was the poll that we, and the instructions we heard from the launch director. Dragon's working its one issue. Weather looks good. Range is ready to support.
Crew access arm retraction complete.
All right, that is the confirmation. The arm is back in the launch position. Next, they'll give the crew the command to go ahead and close and lock their visors. Now, I think right now we're probably waiting just a little bit longer. We want to give the Dragon team as much time as they can have before we move into the sequence where we then have the crew arm the launch escape system. Now, if we do get through this and we solve the upload issue, at T-minus 35 minutes, we will begin propellant load. Once we do that, then there's no chance to hold the clock. We would have to complete the countdown and launch on time, or as we have mentioned during the webcast, we do have another opportunity tomorrow about 24 hours from now. We're inside 41 minutes, continuing to troubleshoot the problem. View of the crew inside the capsule on the right-hand side. See the status bar on the bottom and the clock counting down. Now, if we get to go, we'll hear then the commands to begin the launch escape system arming. The crew will confirm about a minute later that they're armed. And that'd complete the major events before a propellant load would begin at T-minus 35 minutes. Views of Falcon 9 and Dragon on Launch Complex 39A on the Kennedy Space Center. Everybody is clear of the launch pad, clear of the launch complex. The danger and hazard areas have been confirmed clear. And we're ready. We're just waiting to find out whether or not we're going to be able to continue forward in the countdown? We should know that answer within the next couple of minutes.
All right, so SpaceX introducing the 4 crew members, which in fact includes your former Director of Human Space Flight, Peggy Whitson, India's Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, also Tibor Kapu from Hungary and Slavos Wisniewski from Poland. Those are the 4 names of the crew members. We will be keeping a hawk's eye on all the latest updates that are happening in Florida right now as the countdown begins for that human space flight. But it's time for a quick break. We'll be back with our guest, Mr. Kapoor, and Srishti Chaudhary, our correspondent.
So you've seen the big arc lights here, the flashy cameras, but beyond all of this, journalism is all about hard work. So if you have it in you to make a name for yourself in this hyper-competitive industry, then let CNN News 18 be your platform.
Test pilot, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. Remember, the space flight is coming after almost 4 decades for India. After cosmonaut Rakesh Sharma made history for India, it's time for Group Captain Shukla to make history for India, to become the first Indian aboard the International Space Station. So we are eagerly waiting for this mission, and as of now, everything looks okay. The weather conditions are 90% favorable, and within the next 1 hour, we hope that everything goes well and the mission takes off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Thank you for giving us all those updates, Srishti. But when you talk about why this is so significant for India, give us a sense of what does this mean for India's space history. You rightly highlighted that Shubhanshu Shukla is going to be the only second Indian after Rakesh Sharma. So what does this mean, not just for Shubhanshu Shukla, but for India's space?
Definitely, apart from being a big milestone, this is the first private spaceflight collaboration that Indian Space Research Organization has undertaken. So the importance is that India and ISRO has specially invested rupees 550 crore on this mission. Now, why are we really collaborating on this private spaceflight is because Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is one of the 4 astronaut designates for Gaganyaan. So remember, India has already committed to take 4 of its astronauts to the low Earth orbit through Gaganyaan in the year 2027, and this mission comes as a very critical standpoint because it gives the required training to our Group Captain Shukla when he takes off on Gaganyaan 2 years later. Over the last 1 year, he has been extensively trained for this mission. It gives him a lot of exposure of how a spaceflight really works out, what it is like to be at the International Space Station. He's going to spend 14 days, do a lot of experiments. Indian Space Research Organization has shortlisted around 7 experiments. All 7 of them are to be conducted by Group Captain Shukla. So the kind of exposure that he gets from this mission will be really helpful when Gaganyaan takes off. One of our astronauts is also on standby, so he has also been trained. So this mission really helps in that domain, and of course, and the world is moving towards private space collaborations. So this also helps us do that networking.
Stay with me, Srishti. Thank you for giving us all those very precious inputs. But let's also take our viewers through how critical Axiom 4 is as a mission, not only because it's going to take the first astronaut from India in terms of a private space flight, also from Poland and Hungary. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to our live and rolling coverage of the historic human space flight that's all set to take off to the ISS. And joining me live on the broadcast is Purnima Murli, who is currently stationed outside IIT Madras. Purnima, I'll let you inform our viewers why IIT Madras is so pivotal to the Axiom 4 mission today. All right, we seem to have lost that connection with Purnima, but as of now, what we can tell you is that all the checks have happened. And remember, despite the past hurdles that had stopped that entire Axiom 4 to take off for the ISS, finally this is happening today. It's also got other 3 crew members from Hungary, Poland, and a former NASA astronaut, Peggy Whitson, who will be accompanying India's group captain Shubhanshu Shukla, who will be creating international space history, the second Indian to be on a flight, a human space flight, after India's Rakesh Sharma. Let's also listen into what's happening in Florida.
Depending on where you are. But then, about 4.5 hours prior to the scheduled launch time, the Axiom Space ground operations team drove the X4 crew to Kennedy Space Center, where they shared a brief moment with loved ones before officially being handed over to SpaceX for today's launch. This handover event has taken on quite a few forms over the years, but there's always something truly special about creating a moment, even just for a few minutes, in the midst of all of this operational choreography, to pause and share a moment with loved ones. And there you see the team did just that in front of the VAB before getting into the Teslas and riding out to the Falcon Support Building to be ready for launch today.
Absolutely. After that T-4 hour briefing, the SpaceX team helped the crew suit up at our Falcon Support Building. You got a video on your screen that was recorded earlier today of the crew stepping out in their suits and waving to everybody there for the first time before getting in our 2 Teslas to caravan over to Launch Complex 39A. They do ride in.
I was telling you earlier that Purnima Murli is currently stationed outside IIT Madras. She's joining us live on the broadcast. Purnima, take us through why IIT Madras is so pivotal as far as today's Axiom 4 human space flight is concerned.
Well, we are coming to you live from IIT Madras, and the place where we are reporting from, this is the lab that's sponsored by the ISRO. This is the S. Ramakrishnan Center of Excellence for Research in Fluid and Thermal Science. So this lab was sponsored by ISRO, and in fact they do research in the thermal aspect of the spacecraft. Joining us are a bunch of students here. They are also into research. What's your name?
My name is Sayan Majumdar.
Okay. And what kind of research do you do here?
I do research on different thermal aspects, like including electronic cooling, battery thermal management, which is also important for this kind of missions. Yes.
How significant is today's liftoff?
Yeah, it's very significant for us. After close to 40 years, one of our Indians is going to space, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, and he's going to stay in International Space Station for closely 14, at max 14 days. So it's a very great moment for us.
Because you're also a research student, I also want to ask you, how significant would that research be for you as a student?
Yes. So as a student, it is very significant because it is also a public-private partnership work. After many years, government is also collaborating with different private companies to do this research. And we are going to measure different thermal aspects from that basis also. So when we get the data, we can get a better idea of how we can process that.
Indeed, excitement in the air. How proud are you, and what does this mean for India?
This Axiom 4 mission gives India a direct experience in human spaceflight, especially through the participation of the group captain Shubhanshu Shukla. This also provides the real-world insight into the crew operations, safety protocol, and experimentals, like scientific experiments in microgravity especially. This also, India is taking bold step with collaboration and hard work. We can achieve global milestones.
So these are research students here. They are also focusing on, and they are also working closely with the ISRO. This is the lab that's sponsored by ISRO, and IIT Madras is working closely with ISRO. And they are research students, and they are too excited. They are keenly watching the development. At 12 is when Shukla will lift off, and all eyes on that. But they say that this is certainly a boost for so many research students here at IIT Madras as well. Back to you.
All right. Many thanks to you, Purnima, for bringing us all those those inputs. I quickly go back to Srishti Chaudhary, who continues to stay with us. Srishti, there's so much hope being pinned on Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, not to forget his very significant contribution in this entire human space flight, but also give us a sense of who are the other crew members, the one from Poland, Hungary, and of course we all know that Peggy Whitson is also a former NASA astronaut.
Definitely, Akansha. So the mission is led by Commander Peggy Whitson. She's a former NASA astronaut. She's also the director of the spaceflight program at Axiom Space. And after that, Group Captain Shukla is going to pilot this mission. Of course, it is the first human spaceflight for Group Captain Shukla. But apart from that, the mission is also significant for the other two countries, which are Hungary and Poland, because both the astronauts are also on their first mission to the International Space Station. They're going to serve as mission specialists on this 14-day mission. Axiom Space has kind of helped both all these three countries to to carry out a human space flight program, because this is serves as a really like a training program for all the three astronauts, especially for Group Captain Shukla, who is also a Gaganyaan astronaut designate and will get that great training which he has been training for the last 1 year. And apart from that, that exposure to the NASA facilities and also during the 14-day stay. So it's a very significant mission, of course, and that is why the Indian Space Research Organization has invested about 550 crore on this private collaboration with Axiom Space. SpaceX is crucially involved because the Falcon 9 rocket is provided by SpaceX, and of course NASA is going to monitor all the activities aboard the International Space Station. Remember when the last time the mission got delayed because of some repair work at the ISS. This ISS has been orbiting the Earth for almost 25 years now, and in all these 25 years, India has never been able to go there. So this is the first time one of our astronauts is going to be at the International Space Station, and it's going to be historic, and that is why the mission is riding on the hopes and dreams of billions of people who are really waiting for this mission to really take off. Not just family members of all the 4 astronauts. And remember, like Group Captain Shukla in the press briefing also highlighted, he's carrying a small gift for cosmonaut Rakesh Sharma as well, which he did not reveal to people, and he said that once he comes back, he is going to share that too.
All right, stay with me, Srishti. We are trying to get in a sense of how India is reacting to this massive history in the making. In fact, let me quickly go across to Harish, who's also joining us live on the broadcast. He's joining us live from the Jawaharlal Nehru Planetarium. Good to see you, Harish. Give us a sense of what's happening. How excited are the scientists there as well in terms of India making this grand international space leap?
Well, it's a big moment for Indian space history and also for the scientists, a lot of students who've gathered here. But with me right now, Dr. Guru Prasad, who's the director of the planetarium, also somebody who's been closely associated with ISRO earlier. Sir, as I mentioned, a great moment in India's space journey and also a path-breaking one.
Namaskar. Good morning to all of you. No doubt about it, it's a matter of pride for Indians, matter of excitement for Indians. No doubt about it, because after a gap of 41 years, the second Indian is going to space. Of course, the thing is, he's part of a mission in which others are also traveling. But one must remember that India has a human space flight program on its own called Gaganyaan. Shubhanshu Shukla is one of the 4 astronauts selected for Gaganyaan, along with 3 more people. All of them are trained in Bangalore and in other places also. But as an enabler kind of thing for Gaganyaan, okay, enabler mission, okay, he is being allowed to participate in Axiom 4 mission. Okay, the kind of experience, especially experience of getting launched into space, the experience of living in space in an independent spacecraft, and the experience of living in International Space Station, all these things go a long way in providing valuable inputs to our own Gaganyaan program. So from the point of view of our Gaganyaan program also, this is a very significant moment indeed, because of the kind of experience. He has been trained for the past 8 months in the United States, in NASA and other places, Axiom 4. So all these go a long way, such experiences, practical experiences. I can also read about space flight, that is different. But getting exposed to the training, okay, and actually traveling to space, actually living in space, they go a long way.
Yeah.
And they provide essential inputs to our own Gaganyaan program. It is not that without this, our Gaganyaan will suffer or anything like that. No. We have the wherewithal, but anyway, it will have a value-added thing.
Also,
yeah.
this entire journey, sir, starting at around 12:01 now
12:01.
till 4 p.m. tomorrow, will be very closely tracked by everyone.
Yeah,
4 countries, astronaut from 4
yeah,
countries.
yeah. Actually, within 10 minutes, they are going to achieve orbit. Okay, 10 minutes, they are going to achieve orbit. They are sitting on top of the rocket, and in about 10 minutes, they will be achieving orbit by achieving a speed of 28,000 kilometers per hour only. Okay, 1,000 times the speed with which we move in Bangalore roads. And independently, they will circle the Earth for a day, and then they will go to International Space Station and leave there for about 2 weeks.
But some of these experiments that we are looking at, including some around nutrition and other aspects, they will also be crucial in terms of what we gain as knowledge.
Definitely, no doubt about it. You know that every step is incremental. Sometimes it will be revolutionary, I would say. But the fact that India has designed these experiments and sent them to space, they are being sent to space, that shows the confidence of today's India, in fact. No doubt about it, confidence of today's India. I am sure that with this kind of experience, in our own Gaganyaan and in the case of our own Bharatiya Antariksha Station, we can perform better.
My final question to you, you see hundreds of kids coming in here every day.
Yeah.
And as Mr. Shukla himself mentioned, he hopes he inspires a whole generation to take up space and, study into space and other aspects.
Definitely. He's going to talk to students during 2 sessions. Definitely he has carried many artifacts, Indian cuisine, and all those things. The space flight is inherently exciting. Human space flight is one order of magnitude higher, I would say. So it definitely will inspire students, definitely. Some of them may take up science, engineering, STEM, whatever we say. Definitely it's going to do good for the 140 crore Indians in one way or the other.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you for speaking to us. There you go. That's the hope that this journey will not just come up with some path-breaking knowledge, but also inspire a whole generation in India, just like how Rakesh Sharma's first journey did for a lot of people way back during that time.
Absolutely, Harish. The next 24 hours are going to be extremely thrilling for all of India as we watch very keenly, and we all know that Prime Minister Modi and several Indian students will also be interacting with Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. We will be getting you all the latest and live updates of this historic space launch, and we will bring you all those latest updates. But for now, we're slipping into a quick break. Stay tuned to CNN News 18 as we track the latest.
कैश कम है.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
SpaceX and ISRO marks a significant milestone for India's presence in space exploration. If successful, Shubhanshu will become the second Indian to reach the orbit after Rakesh Sharma in 1984. And the first Indian to visit the International Space Station. NASA shared the latest update on the mission, confirming the revised schedule. And according to NASA's official statement, Axiom Mission 4 is now scheduled to launch at 12:01 p.m. today as per the Indian Standard Time. Originally set to launch on May 29th, the mission faced multiple delays due to technical repairs on the spacecraft and the launch pad, as well as unfavorable weather conditions. Now, the most recent delays pushed the mission to June 8th, then June 11th, and finally, the new date was revised to the 22nd of June. So finally today, 25th of June is when it finally happens. Shubhanshu Shukla on board Axiom Mission 4 is going to head to International Space Station. After Rakesh Sharma, he's only the second Indian to be doing that, and that becomes, and the first to visit the ISS. So that becomes rather important. We've already been speaking to his family members. They are quite elated with this historic feat that Shubhanshu is about to achieve. My colleague Shrishti has been following all of those details, also speaking to the family members of Shubhanshu Shukla. Shrishti, an important day today. After much delays, finally, fingers crossed, that mission takes off today.
Yes, definitely. Good morning. The countdown has begun, and as of now, everything looks good. The weather conditions are also like 90% favorable. So we really hope that the mission really takes off at around 12 noon. The 4 astronauts have been in quarantine for almost 3 weeks now, so they are ready. They bid their goodbye, and within the next 2 to 3 hours, the mission is going to take off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Remember, this marks the second space flight for India and the first ever to the International Space Station. ISRO has collaborated with Axiom Space for this mission, and it's a high-stake mission because the Indian Air Force pilot, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla, is going to the space for the very first time. And remember, he's one of the astronauts who's also being trained for India's first ever, human spaceflight Gaganyaan, which is scheduled to take off in the year 2027.
Also, Srishi, I was mentioning about how you'd spoken to the family members of Shubhanshu Shukla. Of course, they were talking about, what his mannerisms have been ever since that news has come out and how he has responded to it, and the fact that he is dealing with his absence away from the family, but he's really elated and excited about going to the International Space Station. So what have they really mentioned about this historic achievement of Shubhanshu's?
Definitely, Griya. So the family has been really waiting. We spoke to Group Captain Shukla's parents and his elder sister Shuchi, and they all talked about how how he has been really patient and how he's somebody who maintains his calm and is very is able to navigate the challenges that he has in life. And Shukla, he's a test pilot. He's a trained test pilot with the Indian Air Force, so he's trained to navigate these challenges. He has flown so many aircrafts before, so this is the first time he's flying a spacecraft. But he has this really calm demeanor, which helps him, which makes him a really good candidate for a mission like this, which is a high-stakes mission. And the family, definitely, they are slightly anxious, but they are so confident because of his abilities that he will, he'll be one of the, he'll make history for India, and this mission is going to be very successful.
Welcome back. Now, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla is all set to lead the mission Axiom 4. Indeed, a proud moment for the entire nation. Remember, he is the first Indian to be doing so on a human space flight after Rakesh Sharma. Here's a quick look back at Shubhanshu Shukla's journey.
From the Indian Space Research Organization, AX-4 pilot Shubhanshu Shukla.
Namaste. I'm Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla.
A fighter pilot for 15 years, he was selected as one of 4 Indian astronauts in 2020.
Captain Shukla, are you ready for the ride? Will you do some yoga in space like your idol Rakesh Sharma did in 1984?
The first Indian astronaut, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, traveled to space in 1984. I grew up reading about him in textbooks and listening to his stories from space. I was deeply, deeply impressed by him. This journey that I'm on, it has been a long one for me, and it started out somewhere. I didn't know that this is the path it is going to finally take. I would say that I've been extremely fortunate and extremely lucky to have gotten the opportunities to first fly all my life, which was a dream job for me, and then have the opportunity to apply to Astronaut's Corps, and now consequently be here. The way this worked out for me was that probably a week before we arrived at Axiom was the time I came to know that I will be going. I was extremely excited to be here. I was very, very happy because this was a possibility for me to actually fly to space. You don't know how to respond to such things.
Shuk's his wisdom. The knowledge that he possesses, he could be 130 years old.
For me, having him as my pilot in the Dragon capsule is great. He already has that operational savvy. You know, he's just wicked smart when it comes to spacecraft technologies.
He is very focused and he will basically go 1, 2, 3, 4 in a record time. I don't even know how he gets there so fast.
The team that I'm flying with on this mission, it is fantastic. I do feel that, I have exceptional crewmates. I will have these crew members for this one flight, but post this mission, these are going to be my friends for life.
It has been an amazing journey. These are moments that really tell you that you are getting to be a part of something that is much larger than yourself. I can only say how extremely fortunate I am to be a part of this.
It is my sincere endeavor through my mission to inspire an entire generation back home in the country. I want to use this opportunity to ignite curiosity among kids. Even if this story, my story, is able to change one life, it would be a huge success for me. I am Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla and I am the mission pilot for Axiom 4 mission.
All right, so we at CNN News 18 continue to bring you all the latest and live updates from across India. Remember, it is a historic moment for India, and for that, we also have Srishti and Purnima joining us live on the broadcast. We will be going to them in just a bit. But first up, CNN News 18's Anand Narasimhan sat down to speak with retired NASA astronaut Clayton Anderson. They discussed the Axiom 4 mission, and Clayton described what the Earth looks like from thousands of kilometers up in space. Listen in.
Clayton, hi, thank you very much for speaking with us here at CNN News 18. We are on the cusp of the Axiom 4 launch. This mission has seen multiple delays. Can you just talk us through what goes on through the minds of the astronaut when this happens, this period of waiting, anxiety, technical checks, delays? I'm sure you would have encountered it too.
I did. I think most astronauts do. Delays are part of the game. Delays are unfortunate, but they're oftentimes necessary because we always want to be safe with what we're doing, right? We do not want to do anything that jeopardizes the crew, the vehicle, and the mission success. So I found my time at the Cape to be okay. Oftentimes it was boring, right? The Kennedy Space Center is a huge place. There's not much to do except to exercise, to wander the grounds, to perhaps run a little bit, exercise. I know that's what the crew does. I do not know the degree of technical review that they're doing. I know that they're planning on 60 experiments or something like that during their short time in the space station. And so it's possible that they're making notes, that they're reviewing their previous notes, that maybe even trainers are there to help refresh them on what they're going to do. That helps to pass the time. And of course, they always take the opportunity to speak with family and friends. They're relatively limited being in quarantine as to how close or how intimate they can be with their family members. So that's always kind of a strain, at least it was for me, because I had very young kids at the time, and the inability to reach out and hug them and touch them and kiss them and all that good stuff made it kind of difficult. But
all right, so Clayton Anderson describing over there the crucial moments, what they feel like inside the space mission. But let me quickly go across to Srishti and Purnima, who continue to stay with us. Srishti, much is being talked about how this human space flight for Hungary, Poland and India, which is going to be the first mission of such on Axiom 4, is also in alignment with the wider trend of democratization of access to the ISS. Your thoughts?
Definitely, Akansha. So this is a time when all the spacefaring nations are again looking back into human spaceflight programs. Remember, US-based NASA has also announced its Artemis program to go back to the moon. Japan and Russia are also working on developing their lunar base stations, as well as China. So it's a very crucial time for India as well to really look at human space flight programs, and that is why we announced Gaganyaan, which is scheduled to take off in 2027 and gives us an edge, because India is definitely among the top spacefaring nations across the world, and is a very crucial time to explore all these interplanetary missions as well. Remember, ISRO has also announced a program to go to the Venus and again go back to Moon with Chandrayaan 4, where we plan to collect and bring back lunar samples. So during all these missions, the astronaut training would be very crucial, and that is why this mission is definitely very important here. We're now at the CSIR headquarters, where Union Minister of State for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh, has already arrived. All the scientists are here, researchers are here, looking with anticipation for the liftoff, which is soon to begin. We are now at a point of no return, so the now mission is definitely going to take off, and we hope that it sails off smoothly and reaches the Earth orbit and docks to the International Space Station in the next 28 hours.
Thank you. Stay with us. Stay with us. Crucial moments. It's just a matter of few minutes that India now embarks on international space history over there. Let's quickly bring you a live link of SpaceX from Florida, as the human space flight is all set to happen on the grand Axiom 4 mission.
International partners, thank you for standing with us across borders, united by shared purpose. And to every person behind the scenes, engineers, trainers, families, and friends, you are the quiet force behind this mission. We carry the hopes of many with us. As we realize the return, we will bring those hopes home to you. Thank you.
Peggy Shooks, Suave Tibor, from all of us that are staying here on the ground, we look forward to your mission. All the hard work from our teams culminates here, so good luck, enjoy the ride, and science the heck out of all your experiments.
Wilco.
And a Wilco from Peggy Watson. We're coming up on the T-minus 8-minute mark. Next major event that'll be occurring on the Falcon 9 is the engine chill event. That happens at T-minus 7 minutes. We open the pre-valves, feeding both the RP1 kerosene fuel as well as the liquid oxygen. And that'll go to the Merlin 1D engines. The liquid oxygen, we actually open a valve and we allow some of it to bleed off overboard out into the warm Florida air here in the early morning. And that'll begin chilling in the turbo pumps on those 9 Merlin engines to get ready for when we ignite the engines starting at T-minus 2 seconds. Also interesting to note, just several minutes ago, as we talked about early in the webcast, the International Space Station flew over Kennedy Space Center. And so that means the orbit planes are lined up. We're ready to go in just 7.5 minutes from now. Now, while we're getting ready to open the pre-valves, which is one of those what we might call significant events in the life of the Falcon 9 as we count down, we'll also be chilling in the upper stage engine. We'll hear that call out also in flight when we do some additional chill in at about 1 minute and 52 seconds.
Engine chill has started.
There's that engine chill announcement from Mission Control, right on schedule. So now we just got about 50 seconds left as we continue to load RP1 onto the first stage. Falcon 9 is powered by liquid oxygen and RP1, which stands for Rocket Propellant 1, which is a highly refined type of kerosene. By the time we reach liftoff, Falcon 9 will have approximately 1 million pounds of fuel on board and will be burning 700 gallons of fuel per second at liftoff.
Stage 1, RP1 load complete.
There's confirmation there from Mission Control that we have RP1 load complete, and you're seeing great reactions from the AX4 crew there on the right-hand side of your screen with each one of these call-outs. You can tell that they are just as excited as we are to get them on their way to space.
A lot of time rehearsing, and now we're down to the last 6 minutes. We're also seeing some of the moist air as it condenses around the cold tanks. You can see that just at the top, Dragon above the second stage. Next major event coming up, Dragon is going to configure for terminal count, and they'll move on to internal power. Those are the batteries. We do have solar arrays, and you can see them right now as some of the mist clears. You can see the black portions of Dragon. So we've got solar arrays on part of the Dragon trunk, and then we also have batteries inboard. Now we have completed loading fuel on both the first and second stage. We're still loading liquid oxygen onto both stages. That'll wrap up at the T-3 minute mark and the T-2 minute mark. But right now we're waiting to hear the final updates to the crew.
Falcon 9 propellant tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
That's good news for mission
Dragon
control.
is in configure for terminal count.
There we heard that we are pressurizing Falcon 9 for strong back retraction. The strong back is the tall structure standing right to the left of the rocket right now. And we pressurize Falcon 9 so that we can begin to retract that support structure away from the vehicle ahead of liftoff. Great view there of Dragon sitting
Strong back retract has started
on top of Falcon 9. And we'll look for those clamp arms around the base of Dragon just beneath those solar panels John was just talking about to begin opening up so the strong back can pull away. The strong back is used both to move Falcon 9 out to the launch pad ahead of liftoff and to provide all of the fuel and comm umbilicals that we're using in the lead up to launch. There are those clamp arms opening up. And then we'll see the strong back pull just about 2 degrees away from Falcon 9 in the final lead up to launch. Then at liftoff, it'll move to a full 45 degrees away from the rocket. Great live shots there of the capsule on board the rocket here.
Yeah, Ronnie, it takes about 20 seconds for the hydraulics to open up those clamp arms that held onto the second stage. Then about 30 seconds, it's hard to see, but that strong back will move just a couple degrees away.
And with that, we are just about 30 seconds away from the expected call out that LOX load has been completed on board our first stage. As we mentioned earlier, that mist forming around the outside of Falcon 9 is totally normal. That's just some of that.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
Some of that liquid oxygen that has now been fully loaded on board to stage 1, venting out into the warm Florida air and condensing into clouds.
So we continue to check off events here in the last minutes of the countdown.
Dragon is in terminal count and is on internal power.
And the confirmation a minute ago, we started the move into transition. And there on the left side of the screen and the right, you can see some of the watch parties, Paul.
Yeah. Absolutely. On our left side of the screen, you can see the school in India. And then the right side of the screen is the planetarium in Poland with students and fans of this crew cheering on what's about to be a momentous moment.
Good in the planetarium, keeping it dark in there for them. Okay, we're waiting to hear the confirmation that second stage LOX load is complete. That should be coming up momentarily.
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
There's that confirmation from Mission Control right on schedule. So the next major visual milestone we're likely to have from the outside of the spacecraft is going to be venting.
Dragon is in auto idle.
Confirmation there from Mission Control that we are in auto idle on board Dragon in that final minute and a half before launch. Now we are expecting gas closeouts to be followed by some loud venting, and we're likely to see a larger cloud of liquid oxygen.
Gas closeout has started. Expect loud venting.
There's instructions to the crew also right on schedule. And a great nighttime shot of Dragon sitting there at historic Launch Complex 39A with the AX-4 crew safely tucked inside with just over a minute to go until liftoff.
Seated left to right inside Dragon from this camera's perspective, you have Tibor Kapu there on the left-hand side. Then beside him is our pilot, Shubhanshu Shukla. Then to the other side
is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling.
Is Commander Peggy Whitson. And
Dragon
then on the far side is Sławosz Wisniewski of ESA.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
AX4 is go for launch.
That is great news for mission control and from our crew on board Dragon. With that, we are just at T-minus 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
To liftoff of AX4.
Let's go AX4.
15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff.
For 3 nations, a new chapter in space takes flight. Godspeed, AX4.
T plus 30 seconds into flight with the Axiom 4 crew on board Dragon, headed to the International Space Station. Waiting to hear call-outs from the Falcon 9 engineering team.
Power and telemetry nominal. Stage 1 throttle down.
We're throttling down the 9 Merlin engines. We're into the throttle bucket, preparing for max Q.
Max Q.
Vehicle is supersonic.
We should begin throttling the Merlin engines back up now.
Stage 1 throttle up.
Mission control confirming.
Stage 1 Bravo.
That throttle up, and we
Copy,
are
1 Bravo.
hearing our commander Peggy Whitson call out the first abort mode. Each of these are a specific phase where if for any reason we had an in-flight abort,
underway.
Dragon would abort to a safe location. So we're going to call out each of those milestones as we pass through them. We also just heard the call out for MVAC chill. We're going to trickle just a little bit of liquid oxygen now into the turbo pumps on board our Merlin vacuum engine on stage 2 in preparation for second engine start 1, which will of course be shortly after stage separation. Now, at this point, we are just about 30 seconds away from 4 events that are going to happen in rapid succession. The first one will be stages boost back burn. With that confirmation from Mission Control that we are throttling the first stage engines down, we are expecting MECO at T plus 2 minutes and 26 seconds.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage 1 boost back startup. Back ignition.
There we had confirmation of all 4 of those events. Incredible views on our screen here too as that boost back, as that first stage boosts its way back to Earth.
Stage 2 Alpha.
And confirmation
Copy,
from our
2 Alpha.
commander that we have entered the 2 Alpha abort mode. Of course, we're getting lots of cheers from behind us here at Mission Control here in Hawthorne, California as well. And at this point, our AX4 crew is on their way to space. The view you have on your screen right now is our MVAC engine burning for that second engine first burn. We're expecting that SECO here, second engine cutoff, which will likely be called out over the nets as SECO in just a couple of minutes.
Stage 1 boost back shut down.
Confirmation that the boost back burn on our first stage booster is now complete, and the booster is heading back toward the Florida coast to attempt a landing at LZ1. At this point, stage 1 is actually still coasting to apogee. We're about to deploy those grid fins so that we can steer the vehicle as it enters the Earth's atmosphere.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
And that call out from Mission Control means
Dragon
that
copies, nominal trajectory.
everything is right on track.
T plus 4 minutes, everything continuing to go well, and we've got our first view of the crew. They're inside Dragon, second stage continuing to fire.
प्रारंभिक चरण में 150 किलोमीटर अभी ऊपर जा चुके हैं। स्पीड 8000 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा है और अभी मैं उनको लाइव देख रहा हूं। He has passed the internal orbit.
पिताजी भी हमारे साथ है, आंखें नम हो गई थी आपकी, आंखों में आंसू था, काफी भावुक पल था। यहाँ देखिए तस्वीरों में माँ के आंखों में आंसू है, माँ के आंखों में आंसू है। देखिए यहाँ पर किस तरीके से माँ एकदम भावुक हो चुकी है इस वक्त। यहाँ पर देखिए, यहाँ पर तस्वीरों में तस्वीरें अपने बेटे की लगातार वो देख रही हैं और आंखों में आंसू है। देखिए देखिए माँ को, और जो शुभांशु की बहनें हैं उनकी भी आंखों में आंसू है। देखिए यहाँ पर पिता के आंखों में आंसू है। यहाँ पर देखिए तस्वीरों में भाई बेहद खुश है। काफी भावुक पल, काफी भावुक पल आपके परिवार के लिए, जिस तरीके से शुभांशु ने उड़ान बढ़ा। देखिए यहाँ पर किस तरीके से तस्वीरों में माँ पिता दोनों के लिए काफी ज्यादा भावुक पल, और इस उड़ान का इंतजार माता पिता पूरा परिवार जो है सुबह से ही आज कर रहे थे। माँ के आंखों में आंसू है। देखिए जरा आंसू देखिए, माँ के आंखों में आंसू है। माँ अपने बड़े भाई से कुछ बातचीत करते हुए शुभांशु के समझना चाहती है, और देखिए आंखों में आंसू माँ के। एक और ये आंसू क्यों ना हो आखिरकार, जिस तरीके से बेटे ने अंतरिक्ष के लिए उड़ान भरी है। राकेश शर्मा के बाद ये दूसरे भारतीय मूल के यहाँ शुभांशु हैं जो उन्होंने अंतरिक्ष में गए। ISS में पहले ऐसे अंतरिक्ष होंगे जो भारतीय मूल के, जो जाकर वहाँ पर रिसर्च करेंगे। माँ लगातार अपने परिजनों से, अपने बेटों से, छोटे बेटे बड़े बेटे सबसे समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। माँ लगातार अपनी आंखों से आंसू को पोंछते हुए। यहाँ पर देखिए, यहाँ पर देखिए माता पिता हर कोई जो है इस वक्त भगवान से प्रार्थना करता हुआ कि ये जो यात्रा है ये सकुशल रहे, सफल रहे। 15 दिन बाद बेहतरीन तरीके से वापसी हुई। जैसे जैसे यहाँ पर देखिए माइलस्टोन निकलता हुआ, गुजरता हुआ, और उसके बाद यहाँ पर देखिए किस तरीके से माँ के आंखों
an important and a historic Axiom Mission 4 or AX4 that has just launched from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida very, very short while back. We're also putting out those visuals from Lucknow where anxious parents of Shubhanshu Shukla, who is the mission pilot on board that mission, is going to the International Space Station. They are in fact looking at everything that right now is happening eagerly. Their eyes are on the screens as this mission is taken off from Florida. Let me take this across to a very special guest who's now joining us on the broadcast. Nambi Narayanan, former ISRO scientist, is with us on the broadcast here on CNN News 18. Sir, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this very important conversation. The fact that Shubhanshu Shukla becomes only the second Indian to travel to space, how historic you think this feat is for India and for the world in general? Mr. Narayanan, if you can hear me, sir. Right, we seem to have lost that link with Mr. Nambi Narayanan. We will join him in just a short bit from now. But as I was mentioning, this is a historic launch from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This is a brand new SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule which is riding atop the Falcon 9 rocket. The mission has lifted off from Launch Complex 39A in Florida, and the vehicle will remain at the International Space Station for up to 14 days. Shubhanshu Shukla, as a mission pilot, will be India's only second astronaut going into space 4 decades after Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma made history in 1984. And we are now joined by Nambi Narayanan, who is back with us on the broadcast. Sir, thank you so much for joining us here on CNN News 18. A historic day today for the country.
Yeah, it is historic and it is excited. I am excited, and everyone must be in a mode of. In fact, it was finding it difficult to breathe. That is the kind of thing. Very nice liftoff and a successful liftoff. And it is going to be a long journey, 28 hours. And so each moment will be exciting. I'm just sharing with you, we are seeing the 4 astronauts going in the mission.
Yes.
And we are now thinking about the 4 astronauts and then their tension, excitement, etc. But I think you should also think of those people who are behind the show. They are not in the limelight, but those who are responsible to make the F1 engine and Dragon spacecraft. And for example, there was a small leak in the liquid oxygen line which had caused so much of delay.
Yes.
In postponing the launch. So I think you should also think of, it's something I am sharing it with you because I feel like telling you that it is not only the 4 astronauts who matters, but there are thousands of engineers who have contributed to this.
Absolutely.
One giant leak has made you to wait for.
Yes, people behind the mission really matter the most, and that's why we were seeing the kind of delays that this mission, which was constantly getting dragged and pulled into a later scheduled date, really, because they wanted to ensure that everything is foolproof, sir. You were mentioning something about that leak. Do go ahead, sir.
No, I think you are also equally aware of. I was trying to tell you that what we saw as one leak in the liquid oxygen line, one joint, I think I was told that they found a leak, and then when they examined it, they found it is not just a leak of the joint, but it was a crack. Then they have to change the cracked piece, etc. But you must understand there are thousands of just such joints inside the mission. The RP1 and the logs, they flow through a system and reach the generator, and then from there it goes to the turbine, and then from the turbine it goes into the combustion chamber of the rocket. There the real burning takes place, and then the high pressure gas comes out of the nozzle, giving the required thrust for the entire vehicle to move up. But in the process, you should understand that there are so many joints and so many systems are being checked at each level. And there are different criticalities in this. It begin with when we hand it over, because so many joints, so many parameters are to be tested, you can't do it manually. So you hand it over to the computer. And the computer comes and tells you that this is not good, this is not, or this is okay. And that time will be the tense moment for the man who is launching it, actually, the mission director. And most important thing is, supposing if you assume that, of course, the worst case scenario, they will say that call off the launch, in which case there is a rescue mission and things like that. And it's a very interesting phase. I think we are to experience this, to understand and appreciate.
यहाँ पर देखिए माता पिता काफी ज्यादा भावुक हो गए हैं। अभी इनको हमने देखा कि किस तरीके से यहाँ पर आप देख
Mr. Narayanan, I'm really sorry we had to cut across to those reactions from particularly the family members from Lucknow, because they were eagerly watching this launch take place. You were mentioning about what really went on. I'd like to understand from you, now that this liftoff has happened and it is going to take about 28 hours for the entire crew to reach the International Space Station, what are the stages that this entire segment goes through? What really happens next? What are the steps that get undertaken, like we were also talking about how the launch vehicle after the liftoff really gets down, all of that. Just explain to our viewers exactly what goes around before and after that liftoff.
Well, I am not familiar with the rocket engine which is carrying these people, but I can tell you there are number of stages will be there in this also. I am sure that there are a number of stages, strap-ons, and then finally the last one, when it burns out, then you are entering into the so-called orbit. I mean, but by the time it takes your 28 hours, will be approaching to the space station. And mind you that it is already in a movement motion. So you have to get, in other words, each step is planned perfectly well, and each step has to take place as it is decided to be in this way. So that is where the whole, this is true not only for this mission, even for Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan and various GSLV missions. But what is more important to us is we are learning, we are, you see, when 1984 when we launched with Rakesh Sharma, we had only one rocket, that is SLV-3, which was a first launch vehicle, which we launched in the year 1979. Kalam was the project director for that. Then 84 we launched, but 5 years have passed, but we didn't have any major, till 93 we didn't have any PSLV. 93 was the first PSLV launch. So what I am trying to impress you is when first astronaut went there, we had nothing in hand to talk about. We had just a privilege of going into space and then coming back from there. But today we are totally in a different situation. We have scheduled a Gaganyaan, which is to take off like this during 2027. Okay. Now we have scheduled it and work is going on in full swing, and then people are working like that, and then in the meanwhile we are taking this journey. This journey gives us, it is a prelude to Gaganyaan. This journey gives us the experience, hands-on experience, how you will feel like, how you will be doing it. It involves everything, and in fact I am sure that our people will be learning the launch sequences. There is a good team there, they are probably getting exposed to that.
Okay.
So it gives you a very, very valuable exposure before you get on with your Gaganyaan 2 years from now.
Okay.
So that way it is different, and it is very, very, the most important thing is, of course, this is going to be experienced by Shukla, and I am sure nobody can understand what kind of excitement he is going through. In the space station also, for him, he will be experiencing zero gravity and various other things. But today, right now, we have nothing else to say other than just wishing him all the best and let him come back with a safe journey. And tomorrow, docking is going to be another criticality. As you know, we were also trying the docking experience 2 months back earlier in one of our missions. Now that is a criticality, but that criticality, once it is over, then Shukla is in safe hands, he is in ISS. Then coming back, Dragon.
So why do you say that?
Dragon,
why is docking
Russian
such
Soyuz
an important aspect of this entire space mission? Why is it so critical?
Well, you know very well, you are going there to get it logged with the mothership, that is space station. It is critical because for that matter, everything is critical. Even a small joint is critical. That is not the way I am looking at it. Activity-wise, if you really look out the first stage ignition or the strap-on ignition, then the second stage ignition, and then what on, then finally you are reaching the space station, you have to lock on with that. Now that is critical because you are moving and you are also moving, the space station is also moving, you have to go on. These are all synchronization. That is the way you are going to do. Then you have to position it and then get it locked. So I am sure that the team is experienced in this, so they will be doing it. But still it is critical. So once that criticality is over, even now as far as I am concerned, the entire thing is over because you are now on a long journey. You have to wait.
Absolutely.
For the next 28 hours. Yeah.
Right. Mr.
It should be boring at the same time. It should.
Right, Mr. Narayanan, thank you so much for offering that very, very insightful perspective to this entire launch. Of course, Mr. Narayanan is the man to tell this tale perfectly because he's also juxtaposed it with when Rakesh Sharma had gone into space, and now Shubhanshu Shukla becomes only the second Indian to do that. Let's now, in fact, take a look at the celebratory images that are coming in from Lucknow. That's where Shubhanshu Shukla's family currently is, and they were were eagerly looking at this entire launch and the liftoff really take place. And there you can see the visuals on your screen where emotions, elation, everything is mixed together. We'll also try and get in some reaction from the family members of Shubhanshu Shukla. We also saw how there was a little prayer that Shubhanshu's father had said while that liftoff was happening, and also a teary-eyed mother was in front of the camera because her son was going into space. Only the second Indian after Rakesh Sharma to have done that, and he's a mission pilot on this space mission. Really historic for the country and the world. We're putting out those visuals, those images of the elated family members, and there you see Shubhanshu's mother on your screen. She's also dancing, so after that fair bit of emotions really surging, you also see the elation really kicking in. Let's take a look at these visuals full frame. It's an important day today, a very historic one. After several delays, India's Shubhanshu Shukla has travelled to the International Space Station. The liftoff has just happened on an American commercial mission with 3 other astronauts after SpaceX announced that the weather was 90% favourable for the blast-off. So that blast-off has happened, Axiom Mission 4 or AX4 as it's called. And there you see the Union Minister just about to speak to the media in Lucknow. He was along with the family members watching this entire mission really go about. And now that the liftoff has safely happened, let's hear from the Union Minister as he is before the media. And before we do that, let's also now play out Shubhanshu Shukla's message to India and the world. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
नमस्कार प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना दिल से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना दिल से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
That was the message by Shubhanshu Shukla, the mission pilot on board the Axiom 4 mission. And he, in fact, says that very important line. He says that the Tiranga embossed on my shoulders tells me that I am with all of you. He begins with a namaskar, and let's listen in to what he said.
रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना देखिए चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। Thank you, Shuk. नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना देखिए चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शक। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना देखिए चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शक। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना देखिए चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शक। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना देखिए चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शक। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना देखिए चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शक। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शॉट। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शॉट। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शॉट। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शॉट। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
He will be leading that, so that it will be proud moment and also it is very important milestone for us because it is 7 times it is delayed and finally it is able to achieve. So it is a very happy moment for all of us.
Sir, I can't let you go before asking about another giant leap that we'll take, that is into the oceans with our Samudriyaan project also working. So could you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, when Gaganyaan goes up, before that we will go Samudra and go down. So maybe the next year, both one will go up, another one will go down. So wait for that moment. So similar enjoyment and also the moment we will be having soon.
Well, definitely a lot of smiles around. India has definitely been looking forward to this mission, and we'll keep you updated about rest of the activities for Axiom Mission 4.
You would have thought India's space agency ISRO was established in the year 1969 when NASA landed first human being on the surface of moon called Neil Armstrong. But today we landed on the southern pole of moon through Chandrayaan before anybody else, and today we are collaborating with NASA in an equal measure, in an equal platform. So India is no longer a follower, it is actually an equal partner. And let me also put it on record that Shubhanshu Shukla, the Indian member of the crew, is going to be the most crucial component of this entire mission, which is going to last about 2 weeks or so. It might be plus minus, because he's the pilot and he's going to perform 7 exclusive experiments which have been designed by India, which have been, the kits have been provided by India. I'm glad to say 2 or 3 of those kits by the Department of Biotechnology. We have entered into a formal MOU with ISRO, between the ISRO and the DBT. Then there are kits provided by some of the IITs, kits provided by the Indian Institute of Sciences, which in other words means that the Indian partner in this entire mission is going to perform experiments related to microgravity, which are going to be of utility to even those agencies which started their space journey much earlier than us, including NASA. So this is a moment where India has come of age. India is today a frontline nation, and it is, I would say, heralds the ascent of India to that pedestal of Viksit Bharat. So the ascent of India to the pedestal of rank 1 Viksit Bharat has started via space.
So how do you expect Gaganyaan 1 that is slated to launch in 2027, the fact that Indian astronaut Shukla is there?
No, actually the 4 astronauts had already been undergoing training for Gaganyaan. One of them was Shubhanshu Shukla, the other one was Group Captain Nair, Group Captain Angad, Group Captain Krishna, and then suddenly this happened actually, and I'm glad to say that the suggestion and the offer to have an Indian astronaut on board came from their side when Prime Minister Modi was on a visit to DC, Washington DC, and was having parleys with the then President Biden, which means that is also a recognition of the Indian talent, Indian acumen. And in other words, we can say that we never lagged in acumen, we never lagged in potential, we never lagged in our commitment, but possibly the enabling milieu which facilitates such ventures and writes such success stories happened after Prime Minister Modi gave us an enabling milieu.
Sir, how big was the event when they reached space and Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla spoke in Hindi and the message, how big that moment?
Of course, all the 4 were given an opportunity to speak to their respective countrymen, and I'm glad and all of you proud. It began with Shubhanshu Shukla. In the days to come, there will be more of communication with him as well, and he will be also very...
There's also an important update. This one's coming in from the Indian Air Force, as they too have put out a tweet in appreciation of Shubhanshu Shukla, and this is what the tweet reads. I'm quoting, "From conquering the skies to touching the stars, a journey powered by the indomitable spirit of the Indian Air Force Air Warrior. Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla sets forth on a landmark space mission, carrying the pride of the nation beyond Earth." This is a deja vu moment for India, 41 years after the mission of squadron leader Rakesh Sharma, who first carried our tricolour beyond Earth. Being more than a mission, it is a reaffirmation of India's ever-expanding horizon. That is an important message by the Indian Air Force as they are celebrating Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla as he goes into space. My colleague Shrishti is joining us live on the broadcast. Shrishti, you are where the action is. You have seen everything through your own eyes. Just explain to us how the excitement is only very palpable.
Definitely, it was a beautiful liftoff and a much anticipated liftoff that the entire India had been eagerly waiting for. And so the mission precisely lifted off at 12:01, and it has reached the space. Now, over the next 28 hours is going to be the very crucial maneuvers during which the spacecraft is going to align well so that it can dock into the International Space Station by around 4:30 p.m. On Thursday. Now, during this mission, we also saw how a group captain Shubhanshu Shukla also addressed people who had been really looking forward to this mission. He said Kamal ki flight hai, and that actually kind of expresses the kind of confidence he had in this mission because he had been extensively training for the past 1 year. Here we are at CSIR headquarters where scientists, researchers from various institutes have assembled. Union Minister of State for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh, was also here, and the live streaming was done, and everybody eagerly were looking for this mission, and everybody erupted into a loud applause.
That we talk about these days. This mission heralds the ascent of India to Viksit Bharat, and the ascent of India to the pedestal of Viksit Bharat has happened via space. And I think this is also a true vindication of the dream seen by Vikram Sarabhai, by Satish Dhawan when they started off this journey with stars in their eyes, and the vindication it's a providential coincidence, happened under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. And I'm saying not simply for the sake of saying, it's so because the space reforms which were enabled by Prime Minister Modi, which had been held back by the earlier governments, have not only given added value to our resource pool, but have also given us tremendous amount of self-confidence. Look at now we can do it. And now it's being accepted, being recognized by the other countries, the other agencies of the world as well, because you would bear me out when this mission was planned, the suggestion or the offer to have one Indian astronaut on board came from the other side when Prime Minister Modi was on a visit to the United States and having parleys with the then President Biden over there.
Right. So for Gaganyaan, is this a stepping stone or a huge jump?
I think it's going to have a bearing on all the future missions, including Gaganyaan, also more so for the space station that India plans to have by 2035, which will be named as Bharat Space Station, because the docking, undocking experiments which are going to take place, and that's going to be a huge experience. Now, tomorrow, after about 28 hours, we're going to see that docking happening. Right. So that will give them experience. At the same time, the experiments exclusively being carried out by Shubhanshu, which have been categorized into 7 classes, are going to have a huge bearing on the possibilities of habitat, on life science, in space, in microgravity situations, in that milieu, which is quite different from that on the surface of Earth, because he's going to experiment with relation to human physiology reactions in that milieu, like for example, how does it affect your cognitive functions, how does it affect your muscles, and if it does affect your muscles, how do you strategize the recovery of the muscle dysfunction. Similarly, how possible or how far can you grow food products over there for longer sustenance in the atmosphere. And also some of the microorganism experiments like water bears, etc., which are being conducted over there, will also give you an idea of the possibility or the extent to which you can survive in extreme conditions. So this is going to have a bearing for all the missions across the world.
My final question, have you had a word with Shubhanshu Shukla? Because Rakesh Sharma famously said when asked Hindustan kaisa dikhta, he said, Sare jahan se acha Hindustan.
Yeah, but Shubhanshu did speak to his countrymen, because each of the 4 crew members was given an opportunity to speak to their respective countrymen, and incidentally Shubhanshu got the first turn where he did address his countrymen and asked them to join in celebration. But of course, in the days to come, when he actually reaches the space station, we hope to listen more from him.
Thank you so much. So this was, Dr. Jitendra Singh here, the Minister for Science and Technology, telling CNN News 18 why this is a moment of pride, and why, what we have seen unfolding on Axiom is going to inspire the future generations and also space research. With video journalist Pramod, this is Arunima.
Shrishti, we had to cut to Union Minister of Science and Technology, Mr. Jitendra Singh. Now, he is hailing this particular mission and talking about how this heralds the pedestal to Viksit Bharat, something that even Shubhanshu has spoken about. He has addressed his countrymen. He's spoken about that Tiranga, on his sleeve, and that's how he knows that his countrymen have joined him in this successful mission. Let's first listen into that message of Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla and then I'll go back to Shrishti.
कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शक। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शक। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत। थैंक यू शक। नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, व्हाट अ राइड। 40 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना गर्व से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत की ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
The Tiranga embossed on my shoulders tells me that I am with you all, and this is not just a journey of mine alone, it is also the beginning to International Space Station, but India's human space program, it is giving it a huge impetus. That's the message of Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla as he goes into space. We are in fact going into a very short break with these shots, historic moment for the country.
Seriously cool. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
SpaceX and ISRO marks a significant milestone for India's presence in space exploration. If successful, Shubhanshu will become in fact the second Indian to reach the orbit after Rakesh Sharma in 1984 and the first Indian to visit the International Space Station. NASA shared the latest update on the mission, confirming the revised schedule, and according to NASA's official statement, Axiom Mission 4 is now scheduled to launch at 12:01 p.m. today as per the Indian Standard Time. Originally set to launch on May 29th, the mission faced multiple delays due to technical repairs on the spacecraft and the launch pad.
Special to be the chosen one for this entire mission.
Yes, Akansha. So remember when India had announced that India would go to space with Gaganyaan, the first ever human space flight. That was the time when the call was made, for people aspiring to be astronauts, and out of them, 4 of them were shortlisted, out of which Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla was one of them. Now, what the great advantage that he has is that he is an Indian Air Force trained test pilot. He has flown so many aircraft before, so he has that added advantage, just like cosmonaut Rakesh Sharma had. Plus, he had that calm demeanor. His family also talked about how how he calmly navigates through the challenges that he
Sushi, I'm so sorry to interrupt you there. We'll have to quickly cut across to a live link being presented by NASA, where they are introducing the crew members of Axiom 4. That, of course, includes India's Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. Let's listen in.
He graduated from the Budapest University of Technology and Economics, earning a degree in mechanical engineering, followed by a master's degree specializing in polymer technology. In 2023, Tibor emerged as one of 4 Hungarians selected from a pool of 247 candidates for the Hunor astronaut program.
And together, they are the crew of AX-4, Axiom Space's 4th private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. Today's flight represents the return to spaceflight for 3 nations, but it also highlights the growing opportunities for nations and entities around the world to conduct meaningful work in low Earth orbit. And right now, as you see there, Peggy, Shukes, Sławomir, and Tibor sit inside Dragon. There are colleagues and students and space enthusiasts the world over gathering to cheer them on here at the start of their mission. And so we'd love to share just a few live streams that we're getting from launch parties in India and Poland. And here we are. First is a wonderful shot of a school in India. These are the students and teachers at the Naberam Hansre English School in Jamshedpur, India, gathering together to watch Shubhanshu lift off. How exciting.
Now we have great views from Poland. Crowds are beginning to gather here, including children from Polish schools, to witness Sławomir's launch on the planetarium's dome. The event was organized by the Ministry of Economic Development and Technology, the Polish Space Agency, and the European Space Agency. I love seeing these views from around the world.